So there's a three treasure system, three main energies the Taoists believe made up your life: Jing, Qi, and Shen. Jing is your core constitutional life force. It's your endocrine system. It's your bone marrow. It's your DNA. It's your telomeres. It's how long you're going to live. It's your reproductive capability, how many children you can have as a man or a woman. With strong Jing, you have confidence, you have courage, you have vitality. You can recover from stress and rebound, and you have more vitality, physical strength.
Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and it is my pleasure to have Truth Calkins with us. Truth is a health coach specializing in ketogenic diets, fasting, cutting-edge herbs, supplements, health technologies, and exercise focused on Jing, health, detoxification, rejuvenation, performance, and longevity. Truth is a Taoist tonic herbalist and is known for starting the Erewhon Tonic Bar in Los Angeles and lecturing in Longevity Now conferences. Truth, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So how did you get started with focusing on the herbs and supplementation and ketogenic diets and all that?
My parents were very naturopathic oriented. I had a hippie upbringing. They were into all the cutting edge alternative health stuff of their time. And I remember as a kid in the 70s. And I left home, mid-late teens, boarding school, Europe, kind of normal lifestyle and food, which was quite different from my really healthy upbringing. And by the end of my 20s, I started getting some, kind of serious health stuff. And after going through regular allopathic doctor stuff and not satisfied with what results I was getting, I just really went back to my roots, the influence, my mom's voice, just being dragged around health food stores as a little kid in the 70s and hearing what the grown-ups talk about herbs and hearing about things like ginseng, the just feeling the mystical lore around it. Like I just knew in my later 20s, when I'm a young man, independent, and I needed to be more responsible for my health and have a higher level of fitness performance and couldn't accept getting sick all the time. I had to get back into it. And so I had a head start because my belief system was already there. And I knew that if I went back and harnessed the laws of nature, it just meant a little work, a little lifestyle change, a little diet change. But I knew if I did it, that there was unlimited potential to help myself with that. And so it was kind of like reopening that treasure chest as a young adult that I had abandoned that system for a long time and lived a normal life, normal diet, and was doing fine and having a great time until certain things were not starting to do fine. And then I wanted better. So I went back to that treasure chest of nature and started to re-explore all of it and study it and fall in love with it and make it a hobby and a passion and apply it to my life, and to the point where I kind of got sucked into the health industry.
And so what were some of the benefits of going back to your roots and adapting this new lifestyle? Did you heal all sorts of like gut issues and things like that? Or what was the immediate repercussion of it?
It was a little bit more of a journey than I thought. Like some stuff I tried didn't do that much benefit. I was a little naive in the beginning. I think a lot of people are when they start off. But the main thing is that I had the open heart to try different things, alternative stuff. And I knew that if I found the right thing, there would be something good there. But I tried a lot of things that were not that good, that were kind of dumb. I made a lot of mistakes in the alternative health scene. I had some grounded core knowledge, though, from my parents, because they were pretty hardcore naturopathic. And so I remembered stuff as a kid from them that did help. But then a couple years into it, I started getting better. The juicing, when I first started juicing and doing a little bit of wheatgrass shots, that definitely helped. I tried a lot of mega vitamin therapy, reading books by Pavio Arola, Norman Walker, Bernard Jensen. It didn't do anything for me. Wellness formulas in the beginning, when I discovered Echinacea Golden Seal, like my first most common, go-to. I keep getting sick. I go into health food stores, do you have something in the supplement section? And I started, those helped in the beginning, but then they weren't helping any longer. And I had a chronic Epstein-Barr virus. It was weakening my immune system. 7 years of recurring antibiotic use, starting at age 20, that led to systemic candidiasis. And those things together kind of coupled with pushing myself hard, created chronic fatigue syndrome. But when I found the body ecology diet, after trying lots of random diets and not knowing what was helping. That system of healing, which is kind of macrobiotic, but it's sort of keto, it's very low carb, includes a lot of cultured probiotic foods, cleaning the colon, the liver, the lymph system, lowering chronic undiagnosed systemic infections like viral infections like candida, and to regain your immune system and your digestion. So that system started to change my life. Then I had a guide, a plan. I learned to make my own kefirs and my own sauerkrauts, and learned how to food combine, and food is your medicine, and put the time into making foods. And I learned to detoxify my colon and cleanses, and I finally got over the fear factor and went and did a colonic and had such incredible results. I did 20, and felt the spiritual change with the purification. I'd had no idea that I was just trying to improve my health to continue my acting career in my late 20s, and be able to keep up my graphic design career, which is what I did to support myself financially since I left school. And I was struggling with those things because of getting flus just over and over and over again. And that's why I took so many antibiotics, because they seemed to work in the beginning for the Streptococcus pyogenes infections that I would get in the ear, nose, throat areas. But after a while, my body got like immune to doctor prescribed antibiotics. So I had to go natural. Then after discovering the body ecology diet, I was looking for more things to rejuvenate myself. I felt like I had experienced premature aging from the chronic fatigue. And I discovered ginseng led me down the path of discovering the three treasure tonic herbs, and then Ron Tea Garden, and Jing herbs, and the three treasures, and Taoism. And those herbs was a whole nother world that taught me how to rejuvenate my body. And then I spent time in nature, and I practiced internal exercises, qigong, meditation, yoga, tai chi, tried a lot of different things. Didn't notice a whole lot of rejuvenation benefits until I put in about 3 months doing a set of yoga exercises called the 5 Tibetan rites that some people you may have heard of or not. And it's a pretty quick set of old Hindu yoga that works really on the core chakra energy centers of the 7 major endocrine glands. And if you do it properly and you stick with it, it's powerful. And I read the book, it blew me away. I didn't know if it was really true though, if all these wonderful things would happen. So I did them, and by month 3, I had a Kundalini experience. It just changed my life, and nothing else had changed in my program. I knew it was the rights. So I stopped the other 4 hours a day of internal exercises I was doing. I kind of set myself up that period to not work and to move into a cheap, affordable place to live close to nature up in the hills in Los Angeles at the time. And so that I could devote 100% of my time to creating my health program, to doing the body culture diet, making the cultured foods, making my meals, learning how to detox, reading health books, learning to meditate, spend time in nature. Because I also had gone through quite a bit of stress before that period when the chronic fatigue kicked in. And so that period was valuable, so valuable. I was like a health monk for 3 years, and I didn't work and have to pay any bills. And I sold everything. I lived super cheap, and I didn't see family very much. And I cut off friends. I got a little lonely the first year, but then I went through a spiritual sinking into that, surrendering, letting go, and then discovering all these treasures through all these health books I was reading. And then month 3, practicing the 5 rites while being celibate and taking kidney Jing herbs to regenerate my core vitality that I burned out, my adrenal energy. All 3 of those together, and doing the body ecology diet, where I stopped all the sugar and carbs, cleaned my colon, and started to kill down the infection levels, put the probiotics in. That was leaking Jing because of the chronic inflammation from living with active infections. So when I got the infections down, stopped leaking Jing in other areas of my life, sleep and my sexual energy, my stress, and started to find some joy in simple living, peace in nature with my Taoist routine. Once I got used to it, past the loneliness phase of the I would call it the weaning, the die-off, the withdrawal of society, of the matrix. Being otherwise in my 20s, making good money, going out to bars with my friends, buying stuff all the time, shopping, going to movies, just being a real consumer in the middle of the 90s, in my mid-20s, thinking I'm really hip. And then I get chronic fatigue, and it forces me to kind of change my life so radically that I went through some withdrawal. And then I said, I had to keep going. I got no other choice. The doctors couldn't help me. I hemorrhaged at age 28 after a tonsillectomy, and they tried to stop the infections. That was pretty scary. So I kept going. And then I hit the breakthrough point where I connected and went past my addictions, and then had a spiritual experience. The colonics, the massive amounts of probiotics I put in my body orally and rectally that were boosting neurotransmitters that are so great for depression, they helped reverse the panic attacks, the stress, the anxiety I was going through. And then I got to a level of spiritual happiness and connection to nature, and stopped leaking Jing, and then just continued doing this lifestyle. And it took some time, and lo and behold, it surprised me. After a while, I started to rebuild my body and my Jing and my life force. And then I felt like I got a second childhood, a second chance back at life. But I had now wisdom because I learned from my mistakes. And so that was a real gift.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all that. What was the Kundalini awakening like? Can you describe the process and some of the epiphanies that came out of that and how your life changed?
Yeah, when I knew the rites had done that, I had a few different Kundalini experiences over the course of the first 4 years of being celibate and doing the 5 Tibetan rites and taking these herbs. The first one that made me stop the other exercises and just stick to the rites. It was 3 months doing the rites. I was up to 15 repetitions. You start with like 3 or 4 or 5, and each you increase slowly until you get up to 21 reps. And you can do it twice a day. It's the max. If you want to get the fastest results. So I got up to 15 twice a day. Honestly, couldn't say if I noticed they were working or not. I just fell in love with the book. I wanted to believe the story that maybe it was true. So I said, I have to give this a really good, honest try. I found the little book, The Ancient Secret of the Fountain of Youth, book 1 by Peter Kelder, at the Bodhi Tree, which was like one of the best old spiritual health bookstores in Los Angeles back in the day. It's no longer there, but it was probably the best health and spiritual bookstore I've ever been in my life. And it was open till 11 o'clock. So I could go in there for free and read books because I didn't have enough money to buy them usually. This little book was $13, so I bought it. I went home, I read it front to back, couldn't put it down, fell in love with this story. I started off with 5 reps. My chronic fatigue was so bad, I struggled to do 5 repetitions of what seemed like pretty easy exercises. I thought I was slim, fairly fit, even though I was still had the chronic fatigue. I did the exercises religiously, slowly worked up to 15 reps twice a day, 3 months in, didn't notice any benefit. Once a week, I would go Saturday mornings to the farmer's market. Just listen to one of your podcasts with David Wolf. Coincidentally, he mentioned the farmer's market Saturday mornings in Hollywood. I used to go there every morning. Hollywood is the greatest farmer's market. So I'd go there on Saturday mornings to buy all my cabbages to make all the body culture diet, raw culture vegetables, the probiotic sauerkraut. And that was labor, practically passing out with chronic fatigue over the juicer, pushing cabbage through the chute, and then I'm exhausted. But every Saturday afternoon, my ritual hobby was, because I loved to hike. I always was a hiker growing up in Northern California where I lived, is I'd go up to Mount Hollywood and I'd want to hike to the top of the hill. And just to get out in nature, see the trees, the fresh air, and I love it. But my chronic fatigue syndrome was pretty bad. So I could walk a quarter of a mile. I could get around one corner, same fire road, get around the next corner. I get about halfway up that first hill, and the chronic fatigue would hit me like a wall, just total exhaustion. That would kind of make me feel depressed again, because it just reminded me that I'm still sick. And I would just have to turn around and walk back home and go to bed for hours to rest, just to be able to recover enough to function after that, attempting to do that hike. I attempted to do that same exact hike, that same exact trail every single Saturday afternoon for 3 months with no improvement. And then this one Saturday, 3 months in, I hit the same point of the hill. The same wall of weakness comes over me. But something weird happened. That day, it's like this little voice inside me said, Truth, just push it a little bit harder today than normal. And my conscious logic mind is saying, I'm exhausted. No way, this sucks. I feel like I want to go home and go to bed. Like a dog with my tail between my legs, just crawl home. But I heard this little voice in me. I don't know, it was my soul, it was a spirit guide, it was what something said, just try a little harder this week. And even though you're exhausted, push yourself. So I did. I tried to go a little harder. And then within a few moments, something happened. And it felt like water, like air, like a floodgate, like a valve opened from my base. And it came up gently, smoothly, opened up everything, like, especially from the base of the spine up. Like light, like air, like oxygen, like I was suffocating for 2 years, 3 years, and I didn't know it. Like I was deprived of oxygen, or I don't know what. It came on, it opened up, And suddenly my peripheral vision expanded, my breathing opened up, my attitude, I got happy, and all the exhaustion just like poof, it just faded away softly within moments. And my stride opened up to like this fast hiking stride. I'm 5'10", but I can hike like 5 miles an hour when I'm fit. And I kind of have a wide hiking speed that I like to go when I'm really hiking hard to get a good exercise. And I always used to hike like that. And I started hiking fast and hard with a wide stride. I hadn't done that in 3 years. And I went all over the Hollywood Hills till past dark and sat at the top of Mount Hollywood, looking down on Los Angeles, this massive city with all the flat streets, and feeling like this new me was born. Like, oh my gosh, something happened. If I feel this good every day, my life has changed. I can conquer my dreams. I can go back to anything I want to do and nothing can stop me. I was so happy, so excited. And I was also logically thinking, what caused that? Where did that come from? Because I've been doing all this hard work on myself, everything perfect, right, eating right, detoxing, and nothing was improving. It was so slow. These chronic infections I had were stubborn and they were deep, and it took me years to overcome them. And I still to this day am careful how I manage them so they don't come back. Just like a cancer patient who may overcome it naturally has to understand how to stay in a remission state with their immune system so it doesn't come back. And I've learned to do that with chronic infections, so hence I've become very good with infections. But I analyzed my program over the last 3 months, and I just knew it in my heart and my gut. It's the 5 Tibetan rites. There's nothing else. And then, so the next day I was excited. I went to the park, hit the grass and early in the morning, do my set of 5 Tibetan rites. And then other things started to happen where I noticed my buttocks muscles were stronger when I walk away from the rites and I stand up, and I feel like when I take each step, like there's this pogo stick, like a strength at my base. My butt cheeks felt like they were bigger, like they might push out my pants. And I'm like, where's that coming from? I'm not doing squats, and it's this core Jing energy, which is also your lower chakra, your libido. The rites build that first, and then they work their way up. If you're not using it sexually or through stress, and you keep building it, and you're getting all your rest, and so they build until they fill those lower cavities with chi, and then they work their way up to the thymus, and then you start to release anti-aging chemicals and substances, and then they get to the pituitary, and then the spiritual gifts start to happen. So over the next few years, other Kundalini experiences happened, like my third eye going off like a magnet, tingling at weird times when I talk to a spiritual person at the bar, when I take reishi mushroom, or it's like, why is that happening? It feels like a magnet in the center of my head. Wow. And it's like some spiritual phenomenon. It would always happen when I'd lie down at the end after rite number 21, rite number 5, rep 21. At the end, I'd lie down for a few minutes because I knew I stirred up my chakras, I opened them, and I want the prana to sink in to the glands. So you're supposed to rest for a little bit after the rites, not eat any cold food or drinks, because you've generated heat in the internal organs. You want that to soak in. All these other spiritual phenomena were happening. Now, mind you, I was reading a lot of spiritual books that time. I was living a really pure, immaculate lifestyle. There were so many other good things I was doing to catalyze a spiritual change. And I never really thought or knew that maybe I was a spiritual person before. But it was actually natural to me, my upbringing close to nature, and just being a generally decent person. And I loved nature. I loved animals. I grew up on a little farm, and I went to school a little bit late, and I love life. I respect life. So, that automatically, once I made these changes in my life, it turned on a spiritual aspect to my life that gave more meaning to what I was doing. Originally, I just wanted to not be sick. I wanted to slow down, reverse some of the premature aging I was experiencing. And I wanted the energy and strength and vitality in the immune system to go back to this life in the matrix in the city and conquer my egoic dreams at the time, which all changed eventually because of the health and the spiritual changes.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So what is Jing, and how does our listener stop from leaking Jing? And please also differentiate Jing from Qi.
Okay, so the Jing it's a Chinese word. If we translate it to English, it would translate to primal essence. It's the first treasure of the 3 treasures. So in many Chinese and Taoist healing arts, even in martial arts systems, definitely in the Taoist tonic herb system, everybody's heard of ginseng and maybe a few other tonic herbs, but ginseng is a famous tonic herb. It's a qi tonic. It's a second treasure herb. Okay, but there are about 25 super tonic herbs that were revered and used in elixirs, in tea preparation, as literal elixirs of immortality by the Taoist monks and hermits. And they studied these foods, these substances, and how they were safe to eat every day. Don't develop a tolerance to them. The longer you take them, they're cumulative. They build deep energies in the body that change your DNA and rebuild your inner power, your life force, your bone marrow, your sperm count, your immune system, and your spiritual growth, and to the point when you could stop taking them and you've permanently changed. So they're very deep substances. So there's a three treasure system, three main energies the Taoists believe made up your life: Jing, Qi, and Shen. Jing is your core constitutional life force. It's your endocrine system. It's your bone marrow. It's your DNA. It's your telomeres. It's how long you're going to live. It's your reproductive capability, how many children you can have as a man or a woman. With strong Jing, you have confidence, you have courage, you have vitality. You can recover from stress and rebound, and you have more vitality. Physical strength. It's in the DNA. It's in the nucleus. It's in the nuclear material. It's the glands. It's the hormones, the endocrine system. It's the sperm and the egg, the reproductive life force. It's your genetic potential. That's your Jing. It's your mojo. It's your core constitutional strength, your inner power. The second treasure is your Qi. Everybody's familiar with that. Your immediate energy and vitality. That's the Qi that's flowing through the 12 meridians of the system that we do Qigong or acupuncture to open up the flow, or yoga to increase the prana in the body. In the Ayurvedic system, it's a little bit similar. It's an older system as well. In Rashayana and Ayurveda, they have Ojas, Prana, Shakti. And in the Taoism and Chinese, they have Jing, Qi, and Shen. So the second treasure is Qi. Your lungs and your spleen act upon the food and the air to make the essential Qi that goes to the meridians. If you improve your breathing, you improve your diet, and you conserve the output of energy, you can build your Qi. And that in the Qi is their defensive Qi, helps your immune system. The yin component of Qi is the blood. If you have anemia, poor nutrients, poor blood, you have low Qi, low energy. And so in Chinese medicine, they say that men are ruled by Qi, women are ruled by blood. Because if women who menstruate, that is, younger women, they're borderline anemic because they menstruate, and that can lower their energy. And the Chinese have a way to diagnose these things. A woman looks at her tongue and it's pale. She has Qi deficiency. She has blood deficiency. She's slightly anemic. So she takes a blood tonic like Dong Guai or Hu Shu Wu, and this helps build her blood, and then she has more energy. It's a longevity herb, so it does more things like your hair and your sperm count and your fertility and your and SOD production, antioxidant, even sirtuin activation like resveratrol that's in Hu Shu Wu. So that's the second treasure, Qi. Third treasure, Shen. That's the spirit, the heart, the psychology of the brain. So herbs like reishi mushroom, which is kind of like the neurofeedback of Chinese tonic herbs that creates brainwave coherence, reduces stress, raises GABA, calming neurotransmitters, reduces cortisol, helps you adapt to stress. But reishi, it's not psychoactive like psilocybin. That doesn't release neurotransmitters. But reishi, a Shen reishi, a wild reishi, good extract. Not a good reishi will open doors in the psyche that allows people to grow spiritually. And their consciousness goes up, their Shen goes up, they get wiser, time slows down, it makes you kind of meditate, it makes you more in the moment, it makes you more present. Reishi develops Shen. Some Shen herbs are Shen stabilizers, like John McEnroe, the famous tennis player with a temper in the 80s. He bought more bupleurum and dragon bone. That's a Shen stabilizing herb from Ron Teilhard, my ex-boss, who was one of my teachers, throughout the whole 1980s to deal with his anger. That's a famous formula. They call it the lawyer's formula in Japan because it's so good for stress. So there are two types of Shen tonics. The Shen stabilizers, they when Shen goes out of balance and stress comes up, or ego or fear or whatever, you take a Shen stabilizer to calm you down, to ground you, to balance you. And those are herbs like pearl, like amber, like dragon bone. They're descending, like magnesium and calcium. They're heavy. They have a direction. Every Chinese herb goes up, down, interior, outerior, yin, yang, warming, cooling. And then the tonics have all these other effects that we know from the folklore history, the original Chinese books, and now combined with modern scientific research on the phytochemistry of these plants and the biochemistry of what they do in the human body to back it up, which is really exciting. It's a whole new world of the biohackers can tap into with this stuff. And so I use these supplements. I put them all together, the best Jing, Qi, Shen tonics, make elixirs. I did it at the Tonic Bar for years. I do it here at my Jing Cave private clinic, and where I'm in right now in my kitchen for my clients. And I take them daily myself as longevity superfoods.
Wow. You are a wealth of knowledge. That's amazing. I'm curious about the reishi. So there's red reishi. Is that different from just regular reishi mushroom?
There are full wild reishis. There's all different colors. There's red reishi, purple reishi, black reishi. But the red brown reishis are the most common, and black reishi is kind of like maybe second common. If you went into a Chinese herb store, like Chinatown in LA on Broadway, there's a lot of good, reputable Chinese herb stores. And you can walk in and see all the bulk Chinese herb, all the barrels of American ginseng, and you'll see reishi mushrooms. And this isn't a soft mushroom like Agaricus asperis that you would see in a salad bar at Sizzler or something. No, this is a hard, woody shelf mushroom. Okay, so that's hard. You're not a termite. You can't eat that. So the Chinese would break it up, grind it up, cook it to release the energetics. The phytochemicals break off from the chitin and start to make the magic. So this is a red brown reishi, very common. But you'll see sometimes a black reishi, pre-sliced. The black reishi is even stronger if you're going to go and buy the bulk herb and cook it. Bulk herbs are different than the extracts, but there's full wild reishis, to answer your question. There are hybrid wild and cultivated reishis that are also very good because to produce enough reishi for a company like Ronti Dragon Herbs to sell a Dawnwood reishi extract, that's a very good reishi. For them to produce that consistent, stable product around the mid-70s, they devised and figured out how to make Dawnwood reishi more like a medicine in that the active constituents are consistent and stable, but they're getting the best of wild with the best of control and production through cultivation. So they took they tested all these different, once doctors in Asia started to realize that reishi mushroom increased interferon, it boosts natural killer cells, it helped fight cancer, it helped with allergies, it helped with hypertension, it helped with diabetes, with blood sugar balance, it helped with asthma, helps with inflammation. When they learned all these things, they're like, oh my gosh, well, this is like a medicine. But then they realized not all reishis were the same. So they tested a lot of different wild reishis, and they found a strain of a wild red reishi that was the most consistent to have the widest, broadest pharmacological benefits of all those things I just listed, especially the immune system. They took that strain and they crossbred it with a cultivated strain that they could control to grow on stumps in tents up in the mountains in China to sort of start some kind of mass production. And that's how Dawnwood reishi was sort of born. And then this is the fruiting body, the sexual apparatus of the mushroom that comes up out of the log. And the film is glossy. It'll pop and the spores, the seed will go in the air. And that's when they pick this, and it's the most ripe. And then this is ground into a powder and then pressure cooked for 14 hours to make a broth. And that broth is spun dried to remove the water. And then what's left from that spun dry is an incredibly fine extract that's super potent that we put in the capsules or that we sell in bags now that people are getting. So you can just use a teaspoon and put it into your tea and make a super strong cultivated and wild reishi. So those red reishis that are hybrid, wild and cultivated, are some of the best. But if you don't see a company that doesn't put the polysaccharide count or the ganodermic acid or the some of the other properties, don't buy it, because if you just get ground up reishi mycelium or ground up fruiting body, but it's not extracted, you're not going to get much benefit. You can get a little bit, but reishi is one of the greatest herbs in the world and one of the greatest Chinese life-changing herbs. Actually builds all three treasures, but it's predominantly Shen, and a defensive qi immune system, and helps with detoxification. And it can work like a therapist. It changes how it works psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally based on the person. Like I had a customer at Erewhon. She was coming to the bar every day to get elixirs with her girlfriends, maybe early mid-40s, sweet gal, seemed pretty innocent and friendly and quiet. And her friends were all getting excited on the reishi, getting an elixir every other day with truth at the bar. And then they were buying bottles of reishi and taking like 3 capsules twice a day or 3 capsules 3 times a day to get on a dose of one of these high quality reishis. Because when you take it regularly, not just an elixir once in a while, you take it regularly, then it starts to make these changes in your physical health and then your emotional life and your spiritual life. And and the story that'll happen to each person is a little different because everybody's got a unique history that's going on in their mind and stuff. And so their friends were talking about how much they love the reishi. So she said, Truth, I want to buy a bottle of reishi. I'm like, okay. I said, we'll take this much, blah, blah, blah. She bought a bottle. She comes back a couple weeks later and she looks around to make sure nobody's at the bar. And she leans forward and she whispers to me in a soft way. She says, Truth, can I talk to you? And she says, I started taking the reishi like you told me. And she said, I didn't tell you, but about 10 or 15 years ago, I finished going through therapy. I had depression. I had a severe case of depression since I was young. And I went through therapy for about 15, 20 years, and I was cured. And I stopped the therapy. And I've been fine ever since, at least I thought so. And I started taking the reishi. And all of the same exact emotional symptoms and fears and psychological challenges have been coming up. And I got goosebumps and I said, oh my God. I said, you learned, you were trained and coached and believed by talk therapists, allopathic Western psychologists, to tuck your issues under the rug, so to speak, and act like you paid them enough money, you went through therapy, and we've trained you how to behave and act like you don't have depression. And this is why she's so quiet, because inside she still has issues, that she's living with them and pretending that they're not there anymore because someone told her she's cured, but she's not. And the reishi was bringing it up. And now it's a whole new life to explore these things and to learn, look for avenues of therapy, because the reishi talks to you. It's like intelligent. It doesn't, that's a rare story of how it knew how to find a psychological issue that this person had.
That's amazing. And I'm sure you've got plenty more stories of transformations in your clients. If our listener is looking for a source to get, whether it's red reishi or something else, would a source like Nootropics Depot be a good place, or would they buy it directly from you? I actually have some red reishi and some turkey tail and white jelly and some other mushroom extracts from Nootropics Depot. I'm hoping that you're going to tell me that, no, that's a good source.
I don't know that brand. I could look at it. I don't like to use capsules that have any fillers that are hard on the kidney, liver, or the gut lining, like magnesium stearate, vegetable stearate, stearic acid, silicon dioxide, etc., etc. So that's the first thing I check, and then I want to know the extraction. And then,
oh, by the way, I just use the powder. I don't get it in capsules.
Okay, and then it depends on why you want to take reishi. Some people want reishi to help their blood sugar with diabetes. It can really help. Like reishi and gynostemma, just two herbs, and diabetics, type 2 diabetics, like their numbers improve so much with just taking this herb twice a day. Or some people want to take reishi for allergies. They got dogs in the house. They want to let the dogs be in the house, but their allergies get so bad. So if they get on a good immunological reishi, the reishi that's extracted and it's hybridized, it's grown, it has the constituents for the immune system, then their allergies can be 60 to 100% reduced, whether it's hay fever, animal allergies, seasonal allergies, whatever. And I've seen that just change people's lives. They're like, oh my God, I can live normally again. Thank you. So if you're picking a reishi for the immune system, I would go probably with Mushroom Science or My Reishi. Dragon Herbs Reishi's Dominant Reishi is very good. It does have a filler, but it's bamboo silica. And I don't want to say anything bad about Dragon Herbs. I love the company, and they have some great stuff, some tinctures, some retort tea pouches. But if you start taking several capsules and you're going to do it ongoing long term, I prefer to skip the bamboo silica, because it's not a biological organic silica like BioSil or organoliving silica. This is an industrial grade powder burn off product from the bamboo industry that is very dry like silica, and that's why it prevents the powders from clogging in the capsule filling machines, and that's why they use it. But it looks good on the label because it looks natural, bamboo silica. But it's really not any better than silicon dioxide or nano crystalline silica, which is very fine glass. So if you see the word silica in the other ingredients list at the bottom of the supplement bottle, I don't like to take that. I think it cuts up the cell membrane. So Dragon Herbs only has maybe 5 or 10% of this silica. So if you took that for a while, it's not that bad, but you're going to take a higher dose long term. I prefer to not take that. Dragon Herbs doesn't sell these. They have amazing extracts of the quality of their DDAO herbs, but they don't sell them in Ziploc baggy pouches, straight powders, because Ron is a little more old school. He thinks people want their herbs and pills, the supplements, like drugs, to just swallow them. And that's what he did in basing his company's sales in the 70s, the 80s, 90s and stuff. But now, maybe people like me and David Wolf, open up these cowboys. We are opening up all these bags and throwing the powders into teas and superfood drinks and making elixirs like we did at the Erewhon Bar. It really took off around 2008, 7, 8, 9, 10, where companies like Jing Herbs started putting the extracted powders, which are highly hydroscopic. So somewhere with a lot of moisture, humidity, you got to be really careful to keep those bags sealed airtight because they will clump up. In the capsules with the filler, they don't have that problem, of course. But we started getting these companies to put the extract powders in the Ziploc bags. So that's great. You can, it's easier to make it into a drink and drink it. You absorb it faster. So if you're taking reishi for the immune system, I'd probably go with Mushroom Science. Or my brand, if you're taking a reishi for the Shen, you want, and I found the best reishi, I think, for both. It's very high in the immunological and all the other health benefits that reishi has as kind of a medical physical wonder, but it's the strongest Shen reishi I found. My reishi and probably Shaman Shack Herbs, they have a lot B reishi. If you call and talk to Bryn, they have a couple different sources. I'm not sure which one's on the website right now. That's why I'd say if you contacted her, her reishi is pretty much identical to mine. Though I actually undercut other people because I'm generous to my customers. I sell a little lower price, like $175 for a kilo of my reishi.
And what's your brand called?
Or $100 for 500 grams. It's Jing Master's brand. It's not on my site yet. My site is thejingmaster.com, and right now it's just a consultation application page. But I'm going to, this summer, finish more of an official website and mention a few of the special products I make, like my Jing Cappuccino, a few of my herbs. I hand make a phosphol liposomal methylene blue that's 99.95% methionine chloride, which is a higher percentage than pharmaceutical grade. And I have a great source.
So why would somebody want methylene blue?
That's a unique product. That's not like a normal food, like an herb that everyone can take. And methylene blue is a very specialized product, but it is, if you know how to take it, you find it's a hormetic dose response. You find the right dose. It's an incredible nootropic for energy, oxygen, athletics, detoxification. It's very good for COVID. It's very good for viruses. It's very good for fungus, yeast, candida. It's very good for cancer to help lower these co-infections, boost the immune system. If you're interested in anti-aging and you're willing to take certain biohacking type chemicals, because it is kind of a chemical, but it's been grandfathered in, as we've known about it for 130 years. And if you know the dose, it's incredibly safe. It's so good for you. In fact, it's the only antioxidant redox sort of synthetic supplement that works so naturally that boosts ATP through cytochrome C oxidase, increasing energy through the electron transport chain without creating any free radicals. Normally, everything that you would take, I have so many pro athletes that would come to me over the years and say, Truth, how can I boost ATP? And I give them Chinese mountain ant, because it boosts ATP. And runners, sprinters that are famous runners that have gold medals, they can run faster. They make more ATP. But when you make more ATP, you also make more free radicals. So from an anti-aging perspective, if you're trying to boost ATP, if you can do it and not increase metabolic free radicals, that's a win-win. Methylene blue is one of the only substances that does that because it's redox. And it's redox action. It goes back and forth from reduced to active as an antioxidant. And so you could use it for anti-aging. You could use it as an antioxidant. You can use it to lower infections, to improve the immune system, for energy, for clarity. When I had recurring Epstein-Barr ear, nose, throat infections, it was coming back. And I learned to make this methylene blue. A scientist friend gave me the source, taught me how to do it. You only need lower doses because you made it liposomal with phosphol, with stabilized pharmaceutical grade phosphatidylcholine, which in itself, from the PK protocol, from the phospholipid exchange therapy, that phosphatidylcholine, that grade, is incredibly healing because 52% of every cell membrane is made up of those phospholipids. But it helps you use less methylene blue and get it in to absorb faster. So I would gargle these methylene blue shots dealing with chronic strep throat infections. And it was a miracle. It was life-saving how fast it cleared up the infection. And he had used this product with some naturopathic doctors who had some COVID patients that were pretty pretty late stage, like getting really serious. And in like 48 hours there, he had a version of this that was injectable. And I'm doing it oral. But by gargling or holding it under the tongue 5 minutes each gulp of the methylene blue, you just get blue lips and your urine turns blue. But if you wipe that off with a little apple cider vinegar and a paper towel. But you feel it. It's pretty amazing. So I hold my methylene blue under the tongue while I bounce on a rebounder for, half an hour. And then I go on my EWOT system and do 15 minutes with a breathing pure oxygen high flow rate on a Stairmaster with interval rate. So you're dripping sweat at the end. And man, the oxygen, it boosts oxygen 70% throughout the whole body, the methylene blue. So it's pretty neat. I just do it 1 day a week, 2 days a week, like as a special boost when I can fit it in my routine. And I can feel the benefits, and I see it in my face. Like the next day, I look years younger. Like it's pretty interesting stuff. But that we should talk probably more about the herbs. That's what I make more often. The methylene blue is a real specialty custom product that I don't recommend to everybody. You got to know what you're doing, how to use it. You got to be careful with it.
Yes, all disclaimers apply.
It's taken me 20 years to cut out the middleman and find a source of herbs that are this clean, this highly extracted at such a good price. And so some of my clients, I teach how to make a tonic herb elixir where they buy all these herbs separate. The Jing herbs, cordyceps, deer antler, ant, morinda, eucommia, hushuwu, and then the Shen herb, add a little bit of reishi. And they put all these together in a warm Gynostema tea, add a little bit of ghee, coconut oil, maybe some hazelnut stevia, and some coffee flavoring drops, and blend it. And it'll turn into a Starbucks style espresso. You can make all these herbs actually taste really good. And it's keto because I'm using a stevia. I don't want any sugar. But when you drink it, it's vagotonic, as to use a term from German New Medicine. It through the vagus nerve, it shuts off the fight or flight stress response. It shuts off the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, turns on parasympathetic. Then the yin jing download starts. So you're sitting there after you drink the tea and you're like, why is it making me feel stoned or so calm, so relaxed? Like almost, if your adrenals are a little spent, you might want to go to bed. Like the tea makes you sleepy. You're thinking, these herbs are supposed to give me energy. Why is it making me sleepy? Because they're the most profound adaptogens that go deep into your body and sense where your core energy is at. And if you're depleted, they're going to make you incredibly calm. And to use a quote Ron Teagarden used to always say, during that yin-jing calm phase, that vagotonic yin-jing effect lasts about a half an hour, 45 minutes, where you feel serotonin waves coming up and you feel kind of high and happy, but super calm, you can't stress. But it's replenishing you. It plugs the kidneys into the cosmos and you're downloading your jing. It's an herb that you're taking. It's exogenous. It's outside your body, putting it in you. But when it goes in a warm tea, more empty stomach, opens the stomach receptors, enters the kidney meridian, then this yin-jing vagotonic effect starts, where everybody in the Western world burns their adrenals. Everybody's not getting all the sleep they should. And they're addicted to being slightly adrenalized, like have their adrenals turned on and go, 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 go. And they got so much stimuli, so many things coming in, their cell phones and activity, and going on low sleep. But if you're strong, you see that you need to be slightly adrenalized all the time, you can live in that state for long periods of time and still be relatively healthy. Eventually, it's aging you. It's going to burn you out. And along comes one of my Taoist elixirs, a yin jing tonic. You drink it for the first time, and it makes you so calm. But there's this warm inner good feeling with the calmness of that serotonin coming up. And people can't move. They sit in the chair and you see color come in their face and the stress lines go away, circulation coming back, blood flow. And then it wears off. It's like they had a nap and slept 3 hours and they just woke up rested and they go, what happened? I feel restored. I feel strong. I feel like something's been put back. I don't feel stimulated like I have to use that energy like a stimulant, like a red Korean yang ginseng or caffeine or ma wang or an upper. I feel like deeply reset, replenished, rebuilt, restored, nourished. Like I went to Hawaii and just slept 12 hours a day for 5 days, took a vacation, came back to my life, and I feel like a teenager. I'm so calm and rested and restored. Now I got all this inner energy built up to then decide to go use if I want to use, but I don't have to. So the Taoists believe you keep putting that Jing energy in. Like when you have a plant that's getting sick or wilted or it's struggling to survive, You don't treat the stem of the plant. You don't water the leaves. You treat the roots, right, to help nourish the plant, hoping it can grow back. The Jing herbs go to the root of your life force, of your being, to nourish you and grow that back. And so when my customers at Erewhon were stressed, they were windy, as we say in Chinese medicine, they're kind of chaotic, they're cheese all over the place, they're thinking about a million things, they're behind, they have short attention spans, and they come to me, they're like, what do you have here? I've got this, and can you help me? Can you make me? And I listen to their issues, and I'm going, okay, I need to give these people a latitude. I got to stop their stress now. I got to modulate their immune system now, reduce some inflammation now. I got to calm them down, and I got to restore their adrenals quick. And the regular dose of like 3 capsules twice a day of Return to Youth classic formula that Ron Teagarden told me to use is not going to cut the mustard for these people. They're not going to feel anything. They don't have the patience to take it twice a day or 3 times a day for a whole week before it starts to work, even just a little bit. So I would take like 2 weeks worth of herbs and open it all up, open capsules, and customize a formula, put it into one big 16-ounce elixir. And then it would taste nasty. So I'm like, oh God, I got to find a way to make them drink this. So I'd find some creamers, I'd find some sweeteners, so I can make it palatable. It's still a little herby, but it would start to taste good when I used the right things. And then when the flavored stevias came out, that was great. I put some hazelnut stevia. So I make this thing taste like a Starbucks espresso, but it's 2 weeks worth of Jing herbs in one tea. If I can get that person to just sit down for 10 minutes, relax, drink the tea, and then they stop, they change their appointments, like they won't answer their phone, do any texts. They have to sit there for half an hour now and go through the yin Jing download. And then it wears off and they're like, oh my God, those herbs. And a first-time customer will always come back a couple of days later and wait for me or whoever made their drink and say, what did you put in my drink? Because I think I felt something, but I'm not sure if it was psychosomatic. Maybe it was just me. Can you make me that same drink again? And I'm like, okay, I make the same drink. The same thing happens. They come back the next day and then they're a believer because they felt it. They experienced it. From my experience, not everything in the alternative world of supplements, not everything as far as every supplement that every person feels. There's a lot of things that a lot of people don't feel. And okay, the Chinese tonic herbs, these elixirs I use, it's the highest success rate of anything I've seen, where like 98% of everybody I put these tonics in have really positive effects, that their bodies know they need this and they learn from the herbs and then they want to add it to their lives.
Wow. Again, you're a wealth of information. So so a couple of things. One is you mentioned, I think it was some sort of device or modality called EWOT. What was that?
Yeah, capital EWOT. That's a pretty advanced anti-aging exercise setup. It just stands for exercise with oxygen therapy. And you can Google that, look that up. It pops up really. They've been around a long time, but people like Ben Greenfield are into it, or pro athletes use it to get their VO2 max and their cardio performance up to even a higher level to break records. People that are into anti-aging use it for anti-aging purposes. People with cancer use it to boost their immune system. And basically, you need a cardio device. A lot of people use a standing bicycle or a fixed bicycle to pedal on, like a life cycle. But bicycles aren't really that great at building bone density because they're not weight bearing. So long-term cycling, long-term swimming do not really encourage bone density growth compared to something that's weight bearing. So I got an upright Stairmaster, like Ben Greenfield recommends, a commercial version like they would have it maybe in the 2000s and 90s at Family Fitness Center or something. These things are like 10 grand brand new, maybe 4 grand used. I found an older one for like $300 on eBay, but I had to drive a few states to pick the thing up and then sand it down and paint it because they've been left outside and rusted. But they're indestructible. You want a solid stepper is what I like to use, a stepper device. It could be one of the, I forget what they call when you have the arms and the legs. It could be one of those, but you want a pretty solid one. And then the EWOT system consists of an oxygen concentrator, which are like those oxygen things on wheels that old people have, and they turn it on. It pumps oxygen from ambient room air. You can control the milliliters per minute, 2, 5, 10. And the older person would put the oxygen cannula on the ears and inhale and breathe oxygen. You get an oxygen concentrator and you run the tube to a bag that's about 6 feet by 6 feet, a couple feet wide. It hangs on a frame. It holds 1,000 liters and it holds the oxygen. So you pre-fill the bag for an hour and a half until it's full of oxygen. The bag has a CPAP tube on it, high flow, wide CPAP tube with CPAP mask. So you put on this mask, you pre-filled the bag with the oxygen, you get on your stepper, and you set a interval program that's fairly intense so that something that'll push your respiratory levels pretty hard and make you sweat by halfway through towards the end. You only need 15 minutes. And deep breathing through your lungs, full capacity, breathing in that oxygen with the carbon dioxide that's compressing during that 15 minutes of exercise. You'll flatten most of that whole bag in just 15 minutes, one person. And it's like 4 hours of cardio. It's like a marathon runner who would be training 8 hours every day or every other day to get in great shape. I mean, I ran cross country when I was really young, so I know what it feels like to be out of shape. And then when I'm training, when I'm running a lot, and when you get back into shape, that VO2 max, that zone 2 level of fitness, as Peter Attia calls it, it's something you feel. Walking up and down stairs really quick is so easy because you never get tired. When you're fit, when you're in shape cardiovascularly, everything's easier. And it's been proven that age-related diseases are reduced 4 times by using EWOT or having that VO2 max in the 80th percentile of people in the world today, and your cardio fitness. And all you need is 15 minutes, 2-3 times a week. So I have been kind of out of shape in that cardio because I haven't ran in years. And I got the EWOT system only a few months ago. And within a couple of weeks of doing it just 2-3 times a week for 15 minutes, I feel the level of physical fitness that I had to work so hard to get as a runner when I was young by training a lot of hours. But that chronic cardio by running that much, for me at my age now at 53, that's not so ideal. It's a lot of free radicals. I don't really want that. So with the EWOT, I only need 15 minutes to have max cardio fitness for longevity. Now, if I combine methylene blue before it, it's even better. But so it's a great training device. If I do strength training 1 or 2 days a week, like reverse pyramid training in my gym, for just muscle mass, to maintain muscle. Those muscles are glucose pumps. When you get older, you want to counter sarcopenia and want to keep the muscles up. And I do a strict ketosis diet, so I probably only eat 12 to 1,400 calories a day, 1 meal a day. And so my blood ketones are 2 to 3, and my blood sugar is like maybe 70. So my GKI is maybe 2. And then when I do a 72-hour fast once a month or once every couple of months, when I do a 5-day fast, my ketones are like 5 to 7. So basically, when you're doing that kind of diet and fasting like I do, your insulin is going to be really low, which is great to help slow down aging. It's great to stop and reverse age-related diseases. Okay. But when your insulin's that low, you don't hold water and sodium. So you're really slim. You're just like skin, muscle, bone, sinew. You don't hold water. You don't have any ounce of extra body fat because you burn your fat for fuel. And I chose to stay that way, even though if I eat some carbs and I gain just like 5-10 pounds, because my insulin goes up and you hold a little water, a little sodium, people think I look healthier. And you look, because, so our brain, our eyes, the way we're trained of how we see people, I think we're used to seeing everybody fattened up and holding a little water and inflamed and about 10 pounds over their ideal healthy weight. And we think that looks healthy. So when you do strict keto diet, that's the one thing. You're very slim, you're very lean, but you're really healthy. And you really slow down aging, and you really, I think, you're going to have the best longevity. And so it's a balance. You got to get enough protein, and that's why I supplement with MAP amino acids. It's the only special raw pre-digested protein supplement. If I take 8 of these twice a day with water, I take it with my hydrogen water. With my ketogenic diet, I don't have to eat any meat. I don't have to really eat any animal protein. I get a little bit of vegetable protein. Maybe I eat some fresh poached sardines, never canned, once a month, like a little bit, just to, get some different nutrition. I think the fish are pretty healthy. But otherwise, this protein has 0 nitrogen toxicity, 0 protein metabolites. That's 100% absorbed into body protein synthesis. So every amino acid builds permanent new cells of my body: bone, muscle, gland, skin, hormones, tissue. Whereas with animal protein, only 40% of that is going to be body protein synthesis. And the body has to digest it, break down those amino acids, and put them back together to use it. What's the other 60%? That's going to be protein aggregates and nitrogen catabolites and thick blood and blood clots and ammonia in your blood. But we got to get it because the amino acids are so important. And this is, I think, why people who initially do well on a carnivore diet, because they're getting a lot of amino acids. And amino acids are the building blocks of the physical body. You got to get them. So, but if you want to do a keto diet all long term, kind of like what I'm doing, if you eat more than like 2 ounces of meat twice a week, it'll pull you out of ketosis. You'll start burning through gluconeogenesis. You'll convert some of that protein to sugar, and your metabolism will change, and you're back into more of a glycogen carbohydrate metabolism. And so it's not easy to do a therapeutic ketogenic diet. You have to be experienced, practice, have your own meters, check yourself, find the right balance. You have to know how to supplement to get nutrition. So I supplement with omega-3s. I supplement with enough protein. Because if I don't supplement with these, I'll rebound. I'll get cravings. I'll get protein deficient. I'll get too skinny and weak. I can't exercise. I can do the keto diet. I can feel many of the benefits, but I can feel the side effects too. It's like someone who's over fasting or do calorie restriction go too far. So you got to know how to get the nutrients in. But sorry, that's a little side tangent.
Oh, that was a good one, though. The EWOT system, I'm curious if LiveO2 is one of those systems that you...
It is. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I've had one of the founders of LiveO2, Tom Butler, on the show. It was a while ago, but I'll include a link in the show notes to that episode. Now, the MAP supplement that you held up there, for those of us watching on video, where would you get that? Maybe we could include a link to that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, I don't make any profit from this, but I believe in it. Just Google or search on a search engine, capital MAP, and then type in the word master amino acids or master amino acid pattern. I forget the exact website, but it'll come up, and one of the first 3 hits is the MAP official website. That website has so much science, like 20 years of science and research on how this works. This does not raise your glucose like other proteins. This has no calories. This does not put wear and tear on your kidneys and liver. If I want to, I listened to a few of your podcasts just to get to know you before our podcast, because I never heard of you before. And so I really enjoyed some of the stuff I listened to. And I heard you comment, talking to David Wolf, how Dave Osprey said he plans to live to 180 years old. And I've heard him say that since 2015. And I'm planned to live to 256 years old, because this is my hero right here. Professor Li Qiyang, who's a Taoist hermit. He's holding a ginseng root in his hand there, wild ginseng.
What's the name of that book?
This book is called The Immortal, translated by Stuart Ulf Olson. You can get it on Amazon. And this is a martial artist, Western martial artist, translated this book, who went to China for decades and studied with the greatest martial artists in the world, who knew everything about the history of this Chinaman, who lived really long and left home like at age 9, befriended some gathering hermit herbalists that he lived as a boy. He lived in a remote part of northern China, and he was playing deep in the land outside his backyard. And he met these hermits that were traveling herbalists, and he befriended them, and he just kind of left with them, ran away from home. And basically they would gather the greatest wild treasure tonic herbs, wild ginseng, wild goji berries, wild reishi, cordyceps. It's worth $1 million a ton, real Tibetan wild cordyceps today, sort of the most expensive herbs in the world. And he got to eat these. He would sometimes have nothing to eat but herbs for 3 months at a time. He's probably eating, like, fasting mimicking diet, like 500 calories a day, just by chewing on some wild red asparagus root and some ginseng roots until he doesn't have food. But I believe this man put together so much research on what empirical evidence we do have to prove the high probability that this man was real, and that he truly did get an award on his 150th birthday and his 200th birthday, that he did do a longevity lecture when he was 250 at a university in China, and that the original author, Yang Sen, who wrote the book in Chinese, that he documented everything that was honest and true. And this American author, he went and back and verified as many of the sources as possible. It's an incredible book. So when I was 30 years old in 2000, those 3 years I was a monk I told you about on my program, when I first discovered what led me to Tonic Herbs is a little juicing company out in the Valley of Los Angeles. I was researching all the best juicers, trying to upgrade to a better juicer. And this company led me to a lot of good things because they had slant boards and food dehydrators and Norman Walker books and Jensen books. And in the back, they sold a good Korean ginseng paste. The Korean ginsengs for cultivated ginsengs are pretty good. And they talked about this man in their ad and the herbs that he ate every day, like foti, hushuwu, and goji berry, and cordyceps, and deer antler, and ginseng. So I learned about this man from that ad when I was 30 years old, when I started my commitment to this healthy lifestyle, my healing. And that led me into all of this. And so this guy's been my hero ever since. And then the Chinese herbs like ginseng, these herbs I just listed, at that point, and when I read this book, they were elevated in my mind to a sacred status of like gold, of like the Holy Grail, like opening up ancient artifacts from an Egyptian tomb and getting some precious treasure. To me, buying grade 1, like expensive, high quality herbs. If you go down to Chinatown, wild ginseng roots will be nailed on a plaque board, and they'll be tens of thousands of dollars. And you just go home and warm it up in an oven so it's soft. You slice it and boil it and drink the tea. But the Chinese the old Chinese that were smart, when they would win the lottery or they'd get an inheritance or they had some extra money saved up, they would invest it by going and buying some really good expensive ginseng, just a 1 month supply that they could consume for 1 month out of the whole entire year, just for the whole year. Once in a while, buy some really good top 3 treasure tonic herb like ginseng and take that ginseng home, super expensive ginseng, and take it every single day for just 1 month, because the wild ginseng has so much more of the 3 treasures. The 3 treasures are your life. So if you're buying for something that gives you your life, it's not something you want to bargain with and buy grade number 2 or grade number 3 and cheapen and lessen the amount of life force that's in that substance. It's something where you decide to splurge and say, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go for it and buy the best and buy this really expensive ginseng. Maybe not going to do it every day, my whole life, not all year round. Can't afford it, and I don't necessarily have to, because this herb is so powerful. It will stay with me if I just do it for 1 month out of the year. So that's my goal, is to be 256 years old for this guy. And in order for me to do it, the reason I brought this up is that I really believe if you study amino acid synthesis and protein chemistry of the body, it's very important. It's a whole complex area of nutrition. And the experts really agree, like, you need 30 grams of protein if you're going to eat meat, once in the morning, once in the evening, to hit nitrogen balance, net nitrogen balance, so that you're not catabolic. And you can build back the tissues that you have to live long. That's a lot of meat you got to eat for a long time. If I'm going to live 250 years and eat that much meat, and it's going to make it difficult to achieve a therapeutic ketogenic diet, first off, to eat that much meat. And then there's the toxicity effects of the colon and stuff. So I make a lot of cultured foods. I make the best sauerkrauts in the world. I've got some right there. Just made a fresh batch of salsa that's going. I could pick up my webcam and show you if you want to see. And I make, over there, I have my Instapot going. I make the Super SIBO Reuteri yogurt with the Gaceri and the Bacillus coagulans B30 that Dr. William Davis, I saw you did a podcast with him.
Yeah, he's fabulous.
He came up with that recipe. That recipe is incredible. I make 2 forms. I make a coconut, raw young Thai coconut meat with Reuteri yogurt using Irish sea moss gel blended as the thickener instead of carrageen. And it's incredible. And then I have the original half and half. I use an A2 grass-fed half and half dairy, ferment it all the way. And then I do a Budwick meal once a day, where I get an A2 cottage cheese, and I whip it with flax oil. I have a low temperature press. I press my own flax oil, so it's zero, and put it right in Myron glass, so there's no rancidity. And I believe that electrical charge that's in in the Budwick protocol, not for cancer, just for energy, because cancer is a metabolic thing, and that's why that helps people with so many types of cancers, because the high negative charge of the solar electrons in the flax oil, and you blend it for 90 minutes with the cottage cheese, the high negative charge of the sulfur amino acids that's in the cottage cheese, the two mix together and you creates an electrical circuit, and then you consume it Right after you blend it, you got to consume it fresh after you mixed it. And then you take in that electrical charge. Dr. Jerry Tennant wrote a book called Healing is Voltage. So it's all about free electrons. That's why raw food has a bigger aura with a Kirlian photograph. And why you eat it, why does it give you more energy than cooked food? Because it donates free electrons. I have a hydrogen machine. I drink hydrogen water only. And it's when I put a meter in there to measure the ORP, oxidation reduction potential, and the positive charge or negative charge in millivolts, I'm measuring electricity in the water. It's a minus 450 negative ORP, minus millivolts, negative charge, negatively charged hydrogen. Disease cannot live in the presence of negatively charged hydrogen. It's the greatest antioxidant. So I inhale hydrogen gas once or twice a day, just 5 minutes, deep breathing, 5-10 minutes, enough to feel it. And then I drink 1.5 liters once or twice a day, the molecular hydrogen water. And when I drink that water, I swallow my map. I get my water, I get my hydrogen, my oxide, I get my amino acids. Then I make my light, lots of cultured foods. I do all these yogurts. I do the Budwick meal, and I make blended raw soups. Otherwise, everything else plant food. Lots of C8 MCT oils, organic. I put in there, ketones high, and then I supplement with omega 3s, like DHA, pharmaceutical grade, high DHA fish oil products, because I think they help all cause mortality as well. So I love talking about this stuff. I feel so blessed to have this knowledge. It's taken me 23 years of doing this full time, and I've gone through incarnation after incarnation of this protocol and program. And I do consultations with people, and I customize programs for their specific goals or needs, because I do have a lot of experience helping various people with various things. And 10 years at the Tonic Bar, listening to people's issues and taking my knowledge and experience and then trying it with people. That was like my internship. That's what gave me the confidence to really feel like I can quickly listen to someone's issues and throw together a really good program that's specialized for them based on their budget, what access to what things they can get, what diet changes they can make. And I incorporate health technologies. I do ozone. I do a lot with Rife machines, with frequency machines, bunch of other stuff. But
yeah, and you're offering a 20% discount on private consultations for a 3-month period after the release of this podcast episode.
Sure, why not? I have.
Yeah, well, that's what you put in the notes. So that's amazing.
No, I'm happy to extend a discount to your listeners if they, within a time frame of when this video is released or whatever. People go to thejingmaster.com and fill out the application page, and I'll get an email, and then I email them back. I have like 4 different consult package options with various amounts of follow-up, email support, whether it's a phone or a video consult, how long it is, do I record, do I create a custom ebook? Some of the custom ebooks that I type up with all the order links, all the coupon codes, exact recipes, what to take at what time of the day that I've designed with the person. That's a bigger consult because it takes me about 1 to 2 days of work. It's like a little book that I make for that person. It's like the final perfect program for them at this time of their life that they will need. And it's a master's plan. And some are the cheapest consults are just a call, and they got to take the notes. And then but I still do 1 month of free follow-up quick questions by email, no further charge. But I love helping people. I love working with people. Life is a gift, and we have to work with nature and harness the power of nature. We've been breaking the laws of nature left, right, and center for a long time, and the body's pretty adaptive. We can get away with a certain amount, but you go too far, and this is where we run into issues. And when you've lost it, and then you get to get it back, and you get a second chance, it's like the cat with 9 lives. It's like being reborn. It's a real gift. And then you gain wisdom, and you have this honor to use that responsibility. You're renting this body from God, some people say. You know, you want to steward this physical vehicle and have it tuned up. And when you start to really activate it, it can do things beyond what you knew were even possible. And just the joy, the physical and spiritual, emotional joy of being in the moment in such a healthy body. If you got to be spiritually, emotionally healthy too. You can't be allowing bad addictions to continue your life at the same time as you're trying to do all this physical stuff and expect great results. You want to work mind, body, spirit and start to do the right things. So that means you got to think about what you want. And for some people, it's too late. They want to help other people before their time is up, but if they damage the soul too far, they can't forgive themselves. They can't heal emotionally, spiritually. They might give up on themselves, but you can heal. I think you can heal anything at any time for anyone. Obviously, it can be harder and it can take more things. I've had some stories and issues. Literally could not heal an accident I had once with anything I could find in any physical tool, with any practitioner anywhere in the world, with the particular injury that I had. And it was getting very, very serious. At that point, I had to go to a manifestation technique to manifest it all through meditation, a spontaneous remission to this healing, which took me 5 hours a day of meditation for 2 weeks straight. And then I had a miracle happen. And I know if I wasn't trained in this ancient mystery school discipline of this quantum focused meditation technique, which is a little bit similar to some of the techniques that Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, how to manifest a healing and spontaneous remission through meditation, through consciousness, from the void, through your focus. The sky's the limit.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. So if someone wants to buy the products as well, you'll be launching the site in the summer. So we're in the spring right now, but by the time this episode airs, I think your website will be up.
I may not have the products pages up to like add to cart level. I may have information on the site that says email me and contact me for a list of the products or for any specific product, or I may put a list on there. As it is now, I make these products in my clinic just custom for myself and for my close clients, my private clients that I work with, that I consult with from a distance. I ship them to them, or for people who come here, I make some of these products. And so you could give out my email that you used for this podcast that was sent and to any of your listeners. If someone like knew about my work and goes, oh, wow, Truth's making the Jing Cappuccino bagged, which is my latest version of Jing City. Jing City was out 2009 to 14, and it was pretty famous. It was the biggest selling product from Longevity Warehouse, David Wolf's company, and at the events. It was basically my strongest 3-treasure tonic herb elixir. Instead of having to buy all the herbs separate and make a scoop of each one and put it into a tea and blend it yourself, some clients just said, I don't have time to do that, Truth. Like, so if I do, I'll buy them separate once in a while for the ritual to make it, but I'm busy. Can you just pre-mix it for me? So I made the Jing City, and now the new version is the Jing Cappuccino, which I took all the dairy. The whey protein powder tasted really good in the old Jing City, but there's too many problems with the casein and the lactose and stuff. So I have a coconut cream powder that has no maltodextrin. So it's keto, and just a little bit of that, a few little superfood powders to cream it, and then really incredible tonic herbs formula recipe that's mixed. And a recipe how to make that real fast. Just put scoops of the mix right into the hot tea or water. Optional, add a little stevia and oil to cream it, to smooth it, and you blend and drink while it's warm. And you'll get that Vago tonic yin jing, like a full elixir of immortality in one drink. And it's pretty amazing. So I sell Jing cappuccinos now. I make it. I can take orders. If somebody wants one, they can email me. But it will be up in the site at time. And then at some point in the future, I'll have it as on the cart where it's easy for people to order. And I love to podcast about it and just see people, because they're life changing. Everybody has a powerful, profound effect when they drink this stuff.
Oh, I'm sold. I want to work with you. Amazing.
My goal is, if I get the site going successfully, is to create another tonic bar, open raw to the public. That's like a healing center disguised as a juice bar, like what I had at Erewhon back in the day, that so many people loved. It was the greatest job in the public to change community. What you're doing is the next best thing. You're doing a great podcast online, so much good content that a lot of people can watch from home from their devices. But it's quite something different when you're there standing behind a bar with all of these supplements and herbs and the skill to make them, and the skill and the heart to listen to people and to give them some good advice, emotional, spiritual, physical advice. And then they sit down and have one of these teas. And then they let the herbs teach them the rest of the way. They'll feel it. And they'll come back and go, oh my God, what was that? And then you give them the book. And you need this book to learn about the 3 treasures. The Ancient Wisdom of the Chinese Tonic Herbs by Ron Teagarden. And you can read about Jing, Qi, and Shen. You can look up cordyceps, ukami, reishi, hushuwu, and read the combination of the modern science with the ancient Chinese knowledge and go, wow, I have uncovered a treasure chest of longevity superfoods.
Yeah. By the way, I love the analogy of Jing is the wax and the wick of the candle, where it's condensed energy becoming material. Qi is the flame, which, through its burning makes the candle burn, and then Shen is the light emanating from the candle.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's the three treasure candle analogy that Ron Teagarden's teacher taught him, Master Sunjun Park. So the whack and the wicks is the physical substance. That's the thing you see, feel, and touch of the candle. The qi is the active purpose of the candle, the flame. The second treasure is the flame. The flame eventually consumes the candle. But the bigger the candle, the more wax you've got, the harder the quality of the wax, the stronger the wick, the longer that flame. The stronger that flame will burn, the more qi it will have, and the longer it can burn. That's why the Jing is like your battery. It's like your savings account, your bank account. Like the Energizer Bunny. If you can build more Jing than you leak Jing through loss of the semen for men, through 9 months of pregnancy, childbirth for women. You leak Jing through chronic stress. You leak Jing through lack of sleep. You leak Jing through chronic inflammation and through excessive emotionalism or addiction. Irregular menstrual problems for some women. Those are the leaks of Jing. If you reduce the leaks and you put back more Jing than you use, you can be adding to your candle. So it's growing as it's burning. So it could be an immortal candle and never die. And then you build your qi, you have a big, strong flame. And what do you get from a big, strong flame, the active purpose of the candle? You get the ultimate purpose of the candle, which is the light that emits, that illuminates all things to make it known. So you're out of darkness. To be enlightened means to be in light of, which means to have knowledge. So one of my spiritual teachers said the best thing you can give another human being is knowledge based on truth, if applied to their intention, leads to freedom, not victimhood. Okay, ignorance is bliss when you're a kid and you're playing and eating cotton candy and you go to the dentist and get your root canals and sleep with your cell phone or what, until one day you get cancer. And now you're suddenly heartbroken, like in shock. I'm so young, I'm still growing up, figuring out what I want to do in life. And now I've been told I have a disease that could take my life. That's a shocker. And now ignorance is not bliss. Now you're angry at victimhood. Now you want knowledge. Knowledge is power. You need to apply it. You need truth. You need to learn a lot of knowledge rapidly. That's why you got to take care of the quantum computer, the brain, because so you can store that knowledge. And it's just conjecture if you only learn it through words and academia. You have to apply it hands-on. So when you live this lifestyle, wiggling the neurons, making your kraut, making your kefir, doing your 5 rights yoga, doing the program, hands on, hands off, wax on, wax off, like the Karate Kid.
Awesome. You're inspiring. And thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom, for revealing your light in this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. You've got good Shen, Stephen. I can sense it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And so our listener, I want you to take something out of this episode and apply it this week, because knowledge just for knowledge's sake is not enough. You have to apply it. We'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.